Yeah, I don't want that. Oh, okay, it was on. So, the this week's topic was to record about understanding media bias. And the two topics I chose was one by Michael Eric Dyson. His book, which I hope is okay, a book called Come Hell or High Water, which talks about Hurricane Katrina and the effects it had on the victims, and of course, the media's views on what was going on during, the victims being stranded and when they had no help and no food or whatever. One of the topics he did decide to pick on was when there were reports of massacres almost and a lot of rapes and murders going on. And what happened was so many people talked about it because, of course, a lot of news people weren't there to record and to travel back to the news station and follow up, that people had to record from far or report from far. They weren't really there, and they heard that there were rapes and heard that there were 40 to 50 murders and rapes and stuff like that, that they actually didn't follow up on it and come to find out that it really didn't happen. So I thought that was interesting. And of course, Dyson did not deny that the rape and maybe someone did get in a fight or maybe some bad things didn't happen. He never denied that. But his thing was that the media framed it to seem as if, it was such a bad place and that crimes happen so much that this is the perfect opportunity for so many things to happen. So this is interesting, however, because originally I wanted to say this is biased by extraordinary experience, where the experiences of a journalist along the front lines of human suffering tend to push reports toward biased reporting, which to me, if I'm not mistaken, it kind of means that, they're doing it because bad things attract good, it makes good stories. So, however, at the same time, I was going with propaganda bias simply because that's when a story is reported with deliberate intention of making the case for a particular point of view without exactly stating it. So, basically, and that's how Dyson felt, that the media was kind of pinpointing the area and the topic that crime does happen there, and that's how bad the place is, that they ran with that. And they didn't say it deliberately, but they said it by reporting stuff that they really had no proof about. So I thought that was really interesting. And of course, they didn't follow up on it. So it wasn't accurate information, and, it seemed kind of biased as much as media framing, because you're only telling little of the story, not so much. And there were no stories when they did find out that half of that or majority of that was not true. So that was interesting to me. And then another one, which really isn't a source per se, but it's examples, because when I did Google examples of media bias, a lot of topics came up, and I found a list of about 50 top examples of media bias, and one of them was the promotion of Obama's election in 2008. And what we saw, what the author was talking about on that site, was basically how a lot of pictures had the logo purposely placed behind Obama's head to look like a halo, or, how it signified that he was some kind of angel or whatever. Now, other things that we all saw and continue to see is that Obama's picture is in pictures with his face or in a position like Martin Luther King, or next to Martin Luther King and next to Malcolm X, and they connect, the I had a dream speech to the "We Can" slogan of Obama. And while this is a good thing, of course, it's interesting, and I consider it partisan bias because it's recommendations on who to vote for. And of course, if you put a halo over anybody's head, it's going to deliver the message that this is obviously somebody of positive influence and is going to make a positive change. It's just to be in the same caliber with someone like Martin Luther King, who stood for a lot of important change and, influences that we had. So I thought that was definitely partisan. So, yeah, that's my topics.